Hello there and welcome to EDT 8130, Making Online Courses Interactive. Today's date is January 14th, 2017. Class normally begins 5 p.m. on Tuesdays. I'd like to welcome all the students that are live. I'd also like to welcome the students from the virtual audience that couldn't make it today. Before class, every class, make sure you complete the audio setup wizard each time you log in to match your headset to the speaker and microphone that you have. Also, when you enter the room, make sure you put your hand down when entering the room. Click on the icon with the hand, the third one above everybody's names, and make sure you guys remove your distractions from you. Distractions include your phone. Make sure you shut the door and put a do not disturb sign on the door. Also, you want to make sure you leave distractions behind and focus on the time we have together for the content that we're about to go over. Normally, we will also do a quality check. What you do, you just check and see if you can see the record button, the quality check at the top, and if you can hear sufficiently. So I'm just double checking my stuff since everybody is going to listen to this later. All right. Welcome to the course. It's designed to introduce students to the theories and practices of online learning. The main focus of the course is coming from the book, and it relies heavily on this book. The book is E-Learning in the 21st Century by D. Randy Garrison, 2017. And we're going to start. Okay? So, first, let's talk about the goals of the session. By the end of this session, the audience will be able to describe the implications from the history of e-learning, define the theories behind e-learning, and determine what the new realities are to help e-learning change teaching and learning. We're going to first begin by thinking and self-reflecting. Describe the first online activity you ever did for a class. Okay? I have some guide questions to help you. Was it face-to-face? Was it online, or was it a hybrid course? Was the task related to academics, or was it used to get to know others? And what did you get out of the activity, and what was learned? For me personally, my first course was an online quiz for like a biology class, and I actually got somehow messed up and kicked off the internet, and my professor had to reset it for me. I also remember doing a discussion board for one of my other classes for my like regular education class, and we had to reply to people's and introduce ourselves. Not really very academic. All right, now that you have thought about your first class, we will kind of move forward. Keep those things in mind. I have a little history question for you. Do you believe that the level of effectiveness of e-learning has increased or decreased over time? Like, do you think it's gotten more effective, A, B, decreased, or C, stayed about the same? I will also go ahead and put up the poll so you can vote. All right. And it's actually quite closer than you think. You'd probably think it would increase, but it's been very effective for a very long time. So it's kind of not quite a trick question. All right, now we're going to explore the history of e-learning. E-learning developed as the internet did and advanced quickly with collaborating learners in an online learning community. E-learning is the operation of electronic communication for thinking and learning collaboratively, not necessarily distance learning. The letter E stands for extend and enhancing learning experiences. Originally, classes were driven more by the technology, the utilization of technology, and study materials instead of the teaching methods that bring students together. This would allow students to think critically and learn collaboratively. Computer conferencing was used in the beginning to start focusing on content delivery and how individuals kind of self-direct themselves through the learning instead of leaning towards the collaborative approach. Because of all these new techniques, though, the techniques that have led students to bring together and think critically. Many schools use online classes or blended classes, and it also saves them a lot of money. In the digital era, we put together a society that is very well connected, and it really depends on how we approach the teaching and learning to see if they succeed or not. So putting up presentations and giving an independent quiz is not necessarily a good thing. You have to build a community and focus on the learning. All right, here's an activity we're going to look at. Just write down 2 important elements that distinguishes regular distance education compared to e-learning. So go ahead and pause and write that down. All right, we are now focused on more of a new reality because learning has gone from independent learning to students who work together. So as opposed to independent learning, students who collaborate allow for deep and meaningful learning experiences. Ideas coming from independent notes is not really true education, so the development of the e-learning collaborative nature changed the way we think about distance education. E-learning can guide students to construct meaning and work together to develop better ideas. As a result, places of higher education are once again focusing on these traditional values of collaboration. Large lectures can now be broken down into places for discussion and discourse, and you can do that either in person or online, but a lot of these values have become the new reality. All right, take a minute to think. For those of you out there that are teachers, like I am, I'm a math teacher, what way could you change how your students think and work in the classroom? For example, I would like to spark more debate in class on a topic and how we solve problems instead of, spending the whole class working on a skill or taking notes. All right. The last thing, these are some of the theories that are important. One of the first things is the collaborative constructivist view. John Dewey established this, the idea that it's personal and social worlds interact, construct, and communicate ideas. Okay? A lot of the e-learning approach is coming from this view. So once ideas are communicated, there's an overlap between your personal meaning and your interests in the social environment. Open communication and working together as a group or cohesion towards a common goal help define collaboration. And community can be formed by a purpose, such as an academic purpose, working together, making sure you establish trust, share knowledge, and start to think critically. The transactional view, that's group interaction is so important. But really, individuals form the meaning from their own experiences. So individuals have to still think critically and judge others through reflections and look for misconceptions. So as a teacher, I need to consider the learner and get input for new topics throughout the year instead of just relying on the content. There are other theories at work that we've actually discussed in previous courses, things such as working backwards from desired results, metacognition, critical thinking, and reflection. Teachers really need to make sure they know what they want the students to know in order to get them there, and make sure students can start thinking about the way they think, which is the metacognition part. And that develops a responsibility for their own learning. The community of inquiry, we call it COI. This guides learners by creating a mentally engaging community that promotes deep thinking and collaborative learning. Overall, COI is the best environment to encourage the critical reflection and discourse. Students can dialogue through conversations, through writing, use inquiry, debates, and instruction from the teacher about topics, and critically think to have meaningful outcomes. The framework is the important part. So the structure developed manages thinking and learning collaboratively into 3 presences: The three presences are social, cognitive, and teaching presence. Together, they are interdependent. They depend on each other, and they allow students to share socially about academic topics through the facilitator. Teachers keep in mind that teaching can be a shared role. So the teacher and the learner can share a role, and it is your job to bring these elements out in the course. And they should also align with your goals. All right, for the content, go ahead and think of the three presences. Which part do you value most in your classroom and why? So you can go ahead and pause. You might want to pause and think about that one. So which presence? You got social, cognitive, and teaching. Which one do you think is the most important? You don't have to say it's teaching. All right, let's go ahead and look at integration. This is how are we going to integrate all of this into our occupation. So, critical thinking. How do you plan to build a community of learners in aspects of your career? So if you're not a teacher, maybe you want to think of something else. Here's my example. I teach math. Establishing a community of learners is important, and I need to do that so they can talk about math problems and think through problems. Maybe outside of the classroom, work with my other teachers, start an online discussion and forum on how we can teach better and work together. And then we could critique ideas and set up a way of reviewing lessons and things that work and don't work and talk about it. For those of you that are not teachers, maybe you want to talk about professional development or something that would help all of your other coworkers succeed with you. All right, resolution. In summary, e-learning is about establishing traditional ideals of education and teaching, but you mix it with technological communication, such as this forum, discussion boards, videos, all of that. COI helps construct meaning and fosters the development of independent thinkers and collaborative learners that rely on one another. And then start thinking about establishing a community of learners in your workplace. All right, it's time to think about what we have learned. What ways has e-learning developed over time, and what methods are used to develop learners? So go ahead and this will be our main talking point. So you need to pause this, write it down, and that'll be our first discussion topic for this week. So how has e-learning developed over time, and what methods could we use to develop learners? Okay. Lastly, if anybody ever has any questions or issues, feel free to ask now during the live sessions. For those of you at home, you can always use an email anytime, and I'm always available to do that. Other than that, thank you. Have a good week.